Hello everyone and welcome back to another card tutorial. Today we are using some of the leftover papers of the In Full Bloom set that I had, and we're also using some of the flowers from the die set, stamp and die set. So if you haven't gotten that set, this is such a great stamp set. It came with the thin cuts, but I think the thin cuts are sold out, but we still have the stamp set with the flowers as far as I remember. So have a look. If not, I post a number at the end of the video. So this is the set, and this card actually opens like this, and the idea I copied from Monica Hayward, who is a close to my heart maker in Canada, and she presented this online a while back, and her Life is Art blog showed this design, which I thought was pretty. I changed mine up a little bit, but this is the idea where I found it, so in case you wonder. And we need a couple of pieces for that, and I will show you how this looks like. So this is all the pieces that you get, and this is a regular card, order card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and all I've done is you find the middle, which is in this case 2 3/4, and then you fold the 2 corners in of the card, which gives you this little V shape. And then to cut the paper accordingly, what I did was I measured from the point here where the card folds over to the end, which is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. So you have a whole piece of paper, which is this. You put these things together. There's my paper, the piece, and then you did the same thing that we've done when we folded this area. You find your 2 3/4 mark. You made yourself a little mark, which still is here, and then you take your paper trim and you cut from this mark to this corner, and the same on this side. And to make it more interesting, I just flip these 2 pieces around, so we have a little offsetting designs. Otherwise, I mean, you could leave it like this, but I just think this is more interesting. So to begin with, let's start by adding the corners in the card, and this gives you plenty of room for journaling or writing something. You could put phrases in there. If it's a birthday card, you can put a happy birthday, but mine is a thinking of you, and I didn't really want anything else in there, so depending on who might send it to, I will just fill in the rest. Okay, and these corners line up with the corners of the card. So this is our inside, and then I just did with a black pen some doodling, which we will do at the end. Now the next thing I did was, so this is a piece of green avocado cardstock, and we're using the lighter side in this case, and I already stamped a thinking of you under on top, and this one goes right here, so we have a nice even frame around. All right, and then at the end we're gonna put this one. So since I don't tuck any flowers in behind, I just use a little bit adhesive here to keep those flaps down. And while this is setting up, I put a little bit of adhesive here on our triangle. And that triangle goes here. And when you have liquid adhesive, you can move it around a little bit, which makes it easier if you haven't lined it up perfectly. And there you have your base all done. So while this is sitting, here we have a couple of flowers, and in this case I used our close to my heart watercolors, and they're really great. If you haven't tried them, so they come in a variety of colors already, but naturally you can also switch them. And I will start by using a little bit blue here on our flower, and I'm not gonna color in the whole thing. So you will see, since they are watercolors, they activate with water, and there's usually so much pigment in there that you can easily take this color and spread it even further out into the flower, so you don't have to color in everything. I'm just doing the edges here a little bit, all behind the leaves here, petals, leaves, a little bit down here. See, this is folded over, so this is a little bit darker, and I'm not very careful, but you don't have to be careful because these pencils really are forgiving. And you can use them just as regular pencils, which means no water adding to it, but you will see when we add the water how pretty that's gonna be. Okay, I think I got enough of this, and then I'm just gonna use a little bit darker here, right at the base of the petals. I think that's okay. Now for the smaller flowers, so there are two yellows in here. One is a little bit brighter and one is a little bit darker. So I'm going to start with the bright colors first. And as you can see, I'm not even going all the way to the end. Here's our bud. Okay, and then we have this one. And then I use the darker color to just go in the center a little bit, or any petal that's underneath something. Like these ones here are covered up by this one, so I'm gonna use the darker one here a little bit. And what this does is it kind of like elevates one petal over the other, so it looks more three-dimensional, like in nature. You know, you have light spots and dark spots, and that just gives you that effect. Okay, now we need some green, and we're gonna use this green here, which is like a medium green. You see, I always start where in the middle here, where it's a little bit darker. They already shaded it a little bit for you, and then to the outside I let it get a little bit lighter. So here's a little tip. If you look at the green, so this green has a little blue tint to it, and you will see when I add water to it what I mean by that, which is fine in this case for this one, and you can already see. But this one I rather have like an olive color. Since I don't have a matching green, I'm just gonna use a little bit brown, because brown is in the yellow family, and this will tone the the green down a little bit and gives it that more earthy tone, while this one's going to stay more in the blues. And the butterfly, well, you can do the butterfly in any color you want. I'm taking the bright pink this time for the middle here, and I'm not going into individual little of these little wing thingies. I'm just putting a little bit color down, and then we smush it out. So that's pretty much all you need. And then I always have a jar. This is from, I don't know, Pesto. And I put water in it. This doesn't contain a lot of water, and we don't really need a lot of water. And I have a lid on it because if I'm working, sometimes I easily knock something over, and then you have all the water spilling. So this way I just close it up. There's always a little bit of water in there, and I'm just grabbing my brush, dip it in the water, and there's a lot of water on there. So what I do is I usually just go over the back of my hand and get rid of most of the water, and then I'm just gonna take it and start in the center of my flower and pull the color out. And voila, all of a sudden, let me take this a little bit closer to the camera. Oh, wait. We forgot. There's green here. Flower bud. Okay. Now. Okay. Not that much. So we really just want a little bit of water, and then I start here and I just pull with my brush and a little bit of water I have the color out. And as you can see how nice this kind of like evens out. There's no strokes to be seen from my pen. It covers the area where I didn't put color down, and it kind of also, you know, gives it a more natural look than when you fill in the whole petal with color. Can you see the difference here? And again, just a tiny little bit of water, because we're working with regular cardstock. This is not watercolor paper. I also stamped it with just my normal close to my heart black ink, so no specific archival water resistant paint ink, and that's fine, because if you don't use a lot water, you get away with that. So let's touch up the leaves, and I start with these ones here, and you can tell when you had too much water on your brush, and see how the brown kind of like mixes with the green. And then this one here, can you see how much color is in there when I pull this out? And you can really color in the whole leaf without putting color everywhere. And this too just makes it more interesting and look more natural when you have, you know, the color a little bit uneven. You have darker and lighter spots, and there you have it. Let's do the same with our little butterfly, and you always want to go from the lighter color to the darker color. So in this case, I had a light pink and a purple. I started on the pink and then moved through the purple towards the purple. When I color something in, since I don't replace my water all the time, I like to start with the lightest color, or if I have yellow, with yellow, because yellow is very sensitive to other colors. So if your brush is not completely clean, or your water is already getting a little muddy, you might pick up color in your yellow, and you don't want to do that. So just make sure you start with the lightest colors and then go into the next one. Sometimes I don't even clean my brush in between. Because it's not necessary. And again, this one here, we don't want too much color. So shades of lighter and darker is absolutely fine and just what we want. And there you have it, a very subtle, smooth little coloring. And that's all. So, and there's plenty of water for the next project. And this is already dry here too. So the first thing we want to do is I'm gonna put my green leaf somewhere here and that big flower over here, and you just have to move it around a little bit. So we want to make sure that your flower is not sticking out over the edge here, because then it doesn't fit in the envelope. So we want to make it flush here with the card. And then this one's gonna be raised anyway, so I'm just gonna put my leaves somewhere here. So I only need adhesive a little bit on this side and on the stem. So don't put adhesive on the whole leaf, except you're placing it, you know, entirely on the card. But I just want this, sure. I just put adhesive under here because this side needs to be open. And then this one is raised. So we're going to use a few foam dots. And back to those watercolors that, watercoloring pencils that Close to My Heart offers. I really like the variety of colors that come in the pack. It's an excellent high-end watercolor pencil, and it takes practice to use these. I mean, it's not really hard, but you want to try a couple times, and you know, so you get the feeling for them. And so these ones gonna go here, and you want to try and practice. And then if you're not, sometimes, you know, not always do we have, no, I did what I told you not to do. I put adhesive on the bottom here. Just gonna scrape it off. And then put some dust on there in a second. Okay. Let's concentrate to make sure we get this right. And since this is still a little bit sticky, I'm just gonna take my embossing buddy and tap this on there. And once this is all dry, I can just erase it, but for now, so it's not sticking to my card. So yeah, you can use the watercoloring pencil as regular pencils too. You don't have to use them in a way that you need to use them as watercolor pencils, but they're fun. And like I said, you don't need special paper, you don't need special ink. If you're a little bit careful and you're using just a tiny little bit of water, you're perfectly fine with using just regular cardstock. Our White Daisy cardstock has a really great thickness, and it works perfect. So when I adhere my little butterfly, I just pinch it on either side, the wings up a little bit, and then just where the body is, I put some adhesive. This way I can bend those little wings up a little bit. And I know they're gonna get flat in the envelope later anyway, but it still just looks nice. And then I use a pen and I put a couple dots here randomly. Same on this side. And then while this is drying, let's do a little doodling here. Okay. And I just went along the edges here. Couple dots. There we go. Gonna go straight up here. And again, the doodling, you can do whatever you want to do. That was my idea here of just doing a couple lines and some dots. And you can write pretty much in that entire area here because everything is covered up by the card itself. So there you have it. And then we put this down. And if you happen to have a glitter pen at home, you can add a little bit glitter on your butterfly. Warning, so a glitter pen also picks up your watercolor pencils. So when you use a lot of glitter pen, that might activate the color too. Just giving you a little heads up there. Okay. And there you have it. Here is card number 2, and just a little twist on your regular card base, something different for once. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and you get a notification when the next video is on. It also helps me and YouTube to determine if you would like to see more of these videos. Otherwise, I will see you back next week for another card. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.